All right, and we're off on another Not Learning How to Play Guitar with Jake. Today's entry is going to be All She Ever Wanted Was You. Kind of a Mellencampish style song. After I wrote it, it was pointed out to me that it had a very Mellencampy feel in it. So what are we going to talk about today? Oh, first, before we get started, yes, you have to grab your pick, strum, like, and subscribe as we keep going through these videos. Today, in terms of chords, this is a 4-chord wonder. When I would teach people, when I actually would be nice and teach people to play guitar, I would usually start them off on the chords D, C, and G. And then if they would learn those and go through the pain that you get as you build up calluses on your finger, I would always say, come back and I'll teach you a 4th chord. Oh, it sounds so mysterious and awesome. So this song uses E minor, G, D, and C. Everything that you would learn as you embark on your journey learning how to play guitar. The only differences are we're going to do, again, my favorite thing, hammer-ons and various points when we're fingering the chords. And the other thing is we do a thing that's called palm muting. So when you're strumming, you just take the heel of your hand and you can mute the chord. I do this for emphasis. Okay, let's get ready to do a playthrough. So for the verses, we stick on the E minor, G, E minor, G, E minor, G, D, and then in the choruses, we'll add the C chord to give it a little more color. So here we go. Sacrifice was all they really knew. There's a new car in the driveway now, a favorite shade of blue, but they can't drive her back to the life she'd choose. He worked so hard to build a life and get the things he's due. Every day a battle renewed. But there's a stranger in a house after all these years. He works so hard to build a life and get the things he's due. Every day a battle renewed. She tries to be supportive, but he's the only truth. All she ever wanted was you. All she ever wanted, all she ever wanted, all she ever wanted was you. Let's talk about the songwriting, the storytelling that goes on in that song right there. Because not only do I want to not teach you guitar, I'm going to not teach you a little bit about songwriting. So there's probably, I've seen people out there offering to teach you the songwriting. So I'm going to tell you my philosophies on songwriting, and we'll go over a couple of them here. I try to write songs that tell stories. Each song is a 2-act play. You introduce the setting, the scenario, and the characters in the early part of the song, and you have some sort of conflict and or conflict resolution that comes at the end of the song. So in the beginning of the song, we learn about two characters, a husband and a wife, and she tries to be very supportive. And we can discern that the husband is probably a little bit on the workaholic side, but she is supportive. In the second verse, we can discern that they've had some nice things over the years, but the woman thinks back to, when times perhaps weren't so good. In the second verse, we see the woman thinks back to a time where things were harder, but it sounds like she enjoyed it more, even though they didn't have some nicer things. In the third verse, I always think about, should a song have a happy ending? Should a song have a sad ending? A lot of times I lean towards maybe not happy outcomes, because the fact is, when you have a happy outcome, it's forgettable. In this song, we have perhaps certainly a sad outcome for the guy in the story, because he's worked hard. That's the chorus. He worked so hard to build this life, and every day he's fighting that battle to provide that life. But the whole thing was, the woman in the story, yeah, she liked that, but what she really wanted was more of her husband's time. And then and you hear that dynamic at the end where you hear that pause. I did that for emphasis, pause for emphasis. And then when you hear the song as it's recorded, this is where you hear the violin drop off, but the drums are playing through, because she's recognized that she's living with a stranger, and she's sorry about that, but she needed something more. And so that's the thing. So in this song, so for the verses, it's pretty basic. It's E, G, and this G is the one that's fingered with, I use both the 5th and the 6th strings on the 3rd fret. I like that. Gives a little more fat, ringy sound to that. And then I play that D, and then we open up that 3rd string and then hammer it back on. Then we pause and we hit it again. So you hear me palm muting to give it that more emphasis. then on the chorus, it's C, D, and then we go back to the E minor. C, D, G. And here, on this one, we're going from an open E, just on the G, we're picking up that middle finger, popping it off the first string to open that E up, and then hammer on the G. So it's C, D, E minor, G. And then completing the phrase, C, D, hammer on. So it gives a little bit of a beat there. That's pretty much it. There is one change of feel where we go from, in the last verse where we're bringing home the impact of the change in the relationship, we go from strumming to picking, and that's where I'm doing my classic. I'm picking the bottom string of the chord with my pick, but picking it with my middle finger at the top of the chord, so, and then arpeggiating the other notes within the chord. And then we go back to the D with the hammer on. And then we're into the chorus. That's it. All she ever wanted was you. A 4-chord banger. And hey, chicks dig the minor chords. That's a tip from your old pal Jake.